on to another attack asset, Secretary Wilson. 2 years ago, we sat in a similar hearing with previous Air Force leadership arguing strongly about the need to keep the A-10 Warthog. We won. Since then, the A-10 has been pivotal, schwacking ISIS, deployed to the European defense, been ready south of the DMZ, and we've now been sent back to Afghanistan. I'm grateful for your support for this critical, unique capability, including funding for the A-10 in the last 2 years' budget requests and the commitment to the re-winging of the remaining 109 of the 281 A-10s that need it. There's been some reports, though, that divestment will still commence in a few years, and other public statements saying it will fly well into the 2030s and beyond. So can you state for the record how long you plan to have the A-10 in the inventory?
Ma'am, we expect the A-10 to continue flying at least until 2030. The FY18 budget, if the omnibus comes out in the way that we expect it to, will restart the line for the re-winging, and will include enough money for about 4 more re-wings on top of the 170 plus that are already re-winged. The FY19 budget request includes $80 million for additional re-wingings of the A-10. We'll go out for a bid, but we think that'll get us between 8 and 12 more in FY19.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. And I know you mentioned in your testimony, but if you have any insights on, in order to conduct the National Defense Strategy, we're down to now 55 fighter squadrons. We used to have 134 fighter squadrons around Desert Storm, and many of those squadrons are actually 18 PAA, primary aircraft assigned, versus the 24 PAA we had in the past. So how many fighter squadrons do you think you need in order to execute the National Defense Strategy?
Congresswoman, we currently have 56 fighter squadrons. We've just gone through a 53-day deep dive exercise on readiness, and we're also looking at the total number of squadrons required to execute the National Defense Strategy. And so we're doing that over this year leading up to the FY20 POM. I would say that one of the things on readiness that we're really focused on is the 301 operational combat squadrons, and how do we better support the structure that we have. The guidance of the National Defense Strategy was to increase capability before we increase capacity. In other words, make sure we've got ready forces now before we just try to expand force structure.
Great, thanks. So you expect when you think you'll have a sense of how many squadrons you actually need?
I think we need to do that in preparation for the FY20 budget submission, which for us is over the next 6 months.
Okay, great. I know there's been some discussion as to whether that will, as you're growing, whether we will, if we keep the A-10 into the inventory, which I appreciate, well into the 2030s, whether that will be the 9 squadrons that we currently have, or going down to the 6. I am concerned at the rate that we'll be re-winging the remaining 109, that we're going to have a bathtub and lose that capability. So can you comment at all about where that fits in there, and are you looking to build squadrons back from 18 to 24 PAA in the process?
Ma'am, one of the issues on 18 to 24 aircraft per squadron is what does it do for readiness, particularly when you do split operations, which you understand certainly better than I do and a lot of other people. And that's one of the things we're looking at when we're going into a high-end fight. And one of the things we've seen is that over the last 17 years, we've been cannibalizing the Air Force to roll forces forward on a mature infrastructure and command and control. That's not what we're being asked to do in the new National Defense Strategy. So how do we organize ourselves for that high-end fight? And it affects A-10s as well as all of our other aircraft. The other thing that I would also mention with respect to squadrons is that we have the continued funding in our budget for the light attack aircraft, which is not a substitute for the A-10, but could expand the number of squadrons that we have in this 5-year period. And our intention is to try to use light attack aircraft to reduce the operating tempo on 4th and 5th generation aircraft that should be focusing on training for the high-end fight.
Great, thanks. I'm over my time.